Today, sports fans, we have a special edition of the Sports Brothas podcast. Good day, everyone. Today is July 7th, 2021. You are in the Sports Brothas podcast. He is Zach. I am Mr. 411. What's happening, Zach?
Nothing too much. How are you doing?
Man, I'm enjoying it, man. Today's a wonderful day, man. That's about
That is
as well as
good.
I can put it.
Every day the good Lord gives you is a wonderful day, or it should be.
That's right. Absolutely. Couldn't have said any better, man. But yeah, good to be here. Good to see you again. And we're here for us. This is a special edition today. Normally we are Tuesday and Thursdays, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. in El Paso. So we got a lot of off the court, off the field topics that we'd like to discuss. And man, let's go ahead and jump into it, man. Everybody's ready. LeBron James and the PA announcer. So at a exhibition game, which is my understanding, with consisting of two travel club teams, one including Bronny James, the son of LeBron James, if you all don't know who he is. Game was played in Akron, Ohio, but there was a quote-unquote incident that occurred during the game where LeBron James and the announcer had an exchange of words. So, Zach, I laid it out there. You kick it off, man.
Well, first, everyone, I'm going to give you a little look behind the curtain that we do semi-discuss some of these things, not in detail, sometimes more in detail than we do other subjects. And today with this subject, this one was one that was I won't say got heated, but it was a definitely highly discussed subject. So for me, I'm going to go with the first thing that I don't know enough information about what happened. I saw a video. On the video I saw, I didn't see LeBron James go over and talk to an announcer. I saw him talking to referees, and that's kind of as much as I saw. I heard the announcer still talking on the video while LeBron was over there talking with the referees about whatever he was talking to the referees about. I'm a rules guy, so I will give individuals a little background. Military veteran. I believe in rules. It's either in black and white or it's not black and white. If it's not in black and white, then we need to have a discussion about it. And a very intelligent man told me back when we were trying to get his son into the military, and there were certain policies that we had where he was not going to be able to get a specific military occupational specialty or a job based on some things that he had done, nothing negative or anything like that, but just policy dictated he couldn't get it for this reason. And this individual told me, he said, hey, blacks and women were not always allowed to be in the military. And he said at the time they got into the military, there had to be an exception to policy written so they could enlist. And he said, my point of this is just this. There is always an exception to policy. There is never an exception to law. So you have to tell me, I need to know what it is that LeBron did wrong based on whatever rules or policy they have in place. And then someone has to explain to me what the announcer did wrong based on the rules and the policy. And I'm just a big believer. I'm not going to blame a child for acting bad and, nothing happens. I'm always going to hold the parents, or I always hold the authority figures accountable, because it's their job to enforce the rules, the laws, the regulations, or what have you. And if the people in charge don't do that, then I can't expect individuals to place the rules on themselves, or I'm sorry, I should say punish themselves. People do what people do, and that's why we have rules in place to kind of as a checks and balances to make sure certain stuff doesn't happen. And I probably talked a little bit too long, so we're gonna let Mr. 411 get his thing. I'm just gonna say this: I'm very critical of LeBron all the time. Like, we're speaking to the court now. Mr. 411 is gonna try and make you believe that just because I don't say something wrong, that everything LeBron does in the world is wrong, that I'm just a LeBron supporter, whatever. I just call it like I see it, based on whatever. You show me where he broke a rule based on whatever is in black and white, I'm all for it. But if you just tell me what you believe and it ain't in black and white, then you could be telling me anything, because stuff gets updated all the time. And I know this from the military. It always happens. Rules, regulations change. Women can now walk around with ponytails in uniform. It wasn't like that back when I was in. They made a upgrade. I'm sorry. They made a change to the policy in the uniform. Take it away, Mr. 411.
All right. Well, a little bit more background to the situation. So what happened here is that in this situation we have a game being played, and it's an exhibition game. So there's a lot of things that fall in place here. You have is it a sanctioned game? What is the game governed by, et cetera, et cetera. So supposedly it's a 2 AAU, amateur athletic union teams, and that term gets thrown around a lot. And I know that's the common initials to throw out there when you have club teams playing basketball and other various sports. But in this instance, they are club teams, but it was an exhibition game. And going and watching some of the film, they have a PA announcer that's doing the play-by-play, doing the Rucker Park type situation where you have the announcer that's like in Rucker Park. They have an announcer that's out there on the court with the microphone, wireless, cordless mic, and doing the play-by-play, hyping up the plays, hyping up the crowd, just making all kind of statements. So get out of your mind that this is an announcer, i.e. like the NBA Finals, where you have the crew, Van Gundy and Mike Breen and Mark Jackson, and they're giving you play-by-play in that manner. Look at this more like the PA announcer who says basket by number 3, et cetera, et cetera. So with that being the case, this is not under National Federation of High School. If it was, there are a listed number of rules of what the announcer can and can't say, which falls under things like making emphatic gestures and statements to get the crowd riled up, et cetera, et cetera. Saying numbers, how many fouls this player has, what's the number on the other player's jersey, and so on. There's a list of do's and do nots. Well, since this is not a high school game, a sanctioned game, that part of it is totally up to the event. So with me seeing that the announcer was doing the play-by-play, this looks like this is supposed to be a fun exhibition ball game and entertaining. So what ends up happening is the announcer ends up making statements that in this case is not, to me, is below the belt, is not in good spirit, in my opinion. So what was said is something that can incite a crowd, and LeBron James is considered a crowd. If you look at the film, LeBron is sitting behind the barrier. They have the cord or whatever that is. He's behind it. So are the other fans. So he's a part of the fans. He's not a coach. He's not a player. He's not an announcer. He's not working the event. So he is a fan. He should be treated as such. Now, the announcer is wrong. The announcer made a statement that was below the belt. And he said something to the likes of Bronny, which is LeBron's son, if you didn't know that. um, received a foul call because his dad is LeBron James. Okay, so that's out of line. But in that case, what LeBron did wrong is to end up confronting the announcer uh, as a fan. What LeBron should have done was just allow the people that are in charge of the event to handle that situation. Starting first with the officials. The officials should have addressed the announcer immediately and stop the game, address the announcer, say, hey, you can continue with your announcements. You can continue with your play-by-play in the emphatic threes and block shots and all that good stuff, but keep everything above board because what you're saying there can incite a crowd. That's the first thing. Now, if they didn't handle that, then the game manager, they should have gotten a game manager to help alleviate that situation. We didn't see that occur either. So now LeBron wants to take it into his own hands, but we also have police officers there. So now their job is to protect everyone in the building, but also keeping everyone out of the court of play. And again, I mentioned a barrier earlier. So LeBron stands up. He's looking at the announcer. He's probably saying some things. He's obviously not happy with that comment that was made. Understandable. But also, being who you are, whether that's a parent, a fan, a celebrity, etc., fans are not allowed on the floor. So for him to pull back the barrier and walk through was an absolute no-no. And he should have been removed from the arena. And I know it's named the LeBron James Arena. I know he played high school there, but LeBron James at that point in time is a fan. So he should have been removed. That did not occur. So in this case, LeBron's wrong. The announcer was wrong. Authority didn't handle their part. They should have walked him back in the first place as well. But none of that was handled the proper way. Now, if I was officiating that game, the minute I hear that the announcer made that comment about LeBron and getting the fouls, etc., because Bronny is LeBron's son, stopping the game, addressing the announcer, hey man, cut that out. All right, keep everything on the board. Let's play ball. Let's let the fans enjoy this. All right, boom, we're good and we're back to playing. Now, if LeBron had gotten up still and came across that barrier, then we're immediately getting the game manager. And if the game manager doesn't handle it, we're going to ask the officers to handle it. And LeBron's going to have to leave. He's going to have to leave. Point blank. We're going to treat him just like any other fan in that situation. And I'm going to put it all in the hands of the powers that be at that point. Now, that's how I would handle that situation. Back to you, Zach.
I just want to make sure you said everything that you wanted to say, correct?
Well, carry on. I mean, if you got something to say,
I just want to make sure everything that you wanted to get out about the situation, you got out. Because I have questions.
Carry on. Go forward.
Okay. First question. You said, I need to be clear. You said the announcer. So was the announcer wrong, or did he just say things that were below the belt? Which one is it?
The announcer was wrong when he made the statement that can excite a crowd. And so when he made that statement, all the other stuff that he was saying throughout the game, according to the event, he was fine.
And I just have to ask, because as I said, I'm black and white. Yep. Where is it in the rules that says the announcer can't say what he said about LeBron's son? Because I hear hometown announcers say stuff pro to their crowd or whatever. If he's there to hype up the game or do whatever, where does it say he can't say that?
It's not going to say the exact words, but the referee has the authority. Oh, something to my ear. Can you hear me?
I sure can.
Okay, yeah. So the officials have jurisdiction over the game. So we can send you rule 2 so you can look at that. But the referees have a jurisdiction over the game to keep things under control. So if anything that can incite a crowd or cause a disturbance, the officials have the authority to control that situation.
So,
and that's
so
where the officials can control that situation, because
how do we determine what is going to incite a crowd?
Well, first of all, LeBron got up, so that's inciting.
I'm not talking about LeBron. I'm talking about the announcer. I asked about the announcer and what he said was wrong. So how do we know the because the announcer could be out there calling the game and he's just being plain Jane talking about it, and somebody could decide to get up. So at that point, if he's just saying, and the guy travels, and then someone gets up because he said travels, is the announcer inciting the crowd? So how do the referees determine what words or what incites the crowd? If I go play NWA or go play DMX or go play Lil Wayne or whatever, that could incite the crowd. I could play some country music and it could incite the crowd. So how are we determining what incites the crowd?
Well, if you was an official, then it would be different. You're looking at it from a fan's perspective.
I'm asking what incites the crowd.
From an official's perspective, the comment that was made that he's only received the foul because he's LeBron James' son is inciting the crowd. Again, that falls under the lines of insinuating that the officials are being unfair.
So may I ask the follow-up question?
Sure.
Did they have officials at the game?
They did.
Did any of the officials come over to the announcer and say, hey, you're inciting the crowd, please stop doing that?
Those officials? No.
Well, I can only go off of the officials that were at the game. Did any of the officials at the game tell the announcer that he was inciting the crowd?
They did
not. In their opinion, kind of like in the NFL, when a referee calls a pass interference call based on contact or what have you, because pass interference can sometimes be subjective. Those referees did not feel that the announcer was inciting the crowd, correct?
No, that's not correct.
Okay. What do you mean it's not correct?
They didn't do their job. They didn't do their job at that point.
So those referees that were on the ground, they're monitoring the situation. You're saying they felt that the crowd was getting incited. They just didn't want to do anything about it, is what you're saying.
Correct. They didn't know how to handle that situation, or they did not handle that situation properly, because at the end.
But that's based on your opinion, because they're allowed to.
Go ahead. Why did LeBron James get up?
That's based on your opinion.
Why did LeBron get up?
Once again, we talking about the announcer. Like you're going to the part that I'm not talking about right now. Like I'm talking about the announcer.
Yep.
They, based on what they felt was going on, they did not think that it was inciting. That's why they didn't say anything to the referee. So to the announcer. So why are you saying they didn't know what was going on? Because they were there. They were on the ground.
They did not handle the situation properly.
But that's in your opinion, correct?
Did LeBron get up in the first period? Did he get up before that? Did he get up at any other time during the game? Or did he get up after that comment was made?
Do the referees have the autonomy to handle the situation the way they see fit if they feel like it's being incited? Because in other words, in the NBA, why do referees sometimes give technicals and sometimes they don't? So do those referees not handle it correctly? Because sometimes two players can do the exact same thing in two different games, and one ref gives a penalty, one does not. They have a last 2-minute report, and they talk a lot of times about referees did do correctly and didn't do correctly. So I'm asking, are you basing this off of your opinion, or are you basing this off of the rule? Because it sounds like the rule is subjective to me, and the individuals there have the autonomy to make the decision that they feel is correct in dealing with the announcer.
Well, If you look at that, if you look at the video, they didn't deal with the announcer. They didn't deal with any of the situation.
Exactly. They
Right.
didn't.
But
That's
that
what I'm
doesn't
getting at.
mean.
They didn't deal
But
with the
that doesn't
announcer because
mean.
they didn't
But
think
that
it was
does.
inciting anything.
No, that doesn't mean that, Zach. That does. That
What does it
means that
mean
they.
then?
That means that they didn't handle the situation like they should have. We had a fan go through the barrier and walk onto the court and confront the announcer after the
That
announcer
has
made
nothing to
this
do with
statement.
the
Yes, it
announcer.
does.
If anything, if you want to say they didn't handle the fan LeBron James correctly, then we can go to that. But the announcer, if they didn't feel like he was saying anything wrong, why do they have to go say something to him?
Well, we didn't interview the officials, so you don't know that either. But what we do know is what the officials said.
But if I
It
don't know that, doesn't that
what,
mean
what
you don't know that either?
no, what the
Like, doesn't that
official
mean we
said,
both don't know that?
what the official said triggered LeBron James to get up and confront him. That's enough right
The
there.
announcer.
That's enough
So
right there.
what?
That's enough right there.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
The announcer could have literally said, "I like President Trump." Does that mean he's
didn't say that.
inciting the crowd? He could have said anything. He
Well,
could have said anything, and LeBron could get up. So
Yep.
just because LeBron gets up, LeBron is a grown ass man. He's in charge of his own actions.
Absolutely.
If he gets up, that's on him. But I'm saying the announcers did not feel that he said anything wrong. So why are we having that discussion?
We don't know that he felt that.
We have
know he felt
our guests would like to chime in on this.
It is Lacey. Welcome, Lacey.
1-1. I've been sitting here listening
Welcome.
to YouTube.
Well, I'm just trying to get clarification there, Lacey. I'm confused. I get confused easy. I'm just a good old country boy. And when someone tells me we doing something wrong, yet it ain't no rule for doing it wrong, then I'm like, whatever. And then when you tell me that the individuals have the autonomy to make a decision and they don't see it the way you see it, but then they're wrong, then I'm confused.
Okay, well, I'm gonna see if I can clarify things a little bit, just from my perspective, because I think maybe you're both right in a way, and I usually do not agree with Mr. 411 about anything. I think that I'm not sure who's in charge of the staff while the game is going on. The referees are supposed to be focused on the game, which is, I believe, what they were doing. They weren't paying attention to what the announcer was saying because they had a job to do. So if that's the case, then that wasn't their responsibility. However, the announcer, is my understanding that from what I read, because I wasn't there, but the announcer was just trying to kind of be funny and trying to be hype or whatever. And they compared
and LeBron got butt hurt.
It's nothing like the Rucker because they talk some trash there. However, in my opinion, and this is just me, and it's not just because I have my issues with LeBron. He was actually, have you seen the videos where there's a Karen, like the lady in Central Park? It's that kind of privilege, you know. He gets up, he takes his big self over there. I didn't see the guy. The guy was sitting down. He might have been a little guy, but I mean, you're gonna look a little thin next to LeBron. I mean, he came over there with the intention of intimidating the guy, and I thought that was wrong. If he was anybody else, they would have told him to go sit down and shut up. But because he's LeBron, he's taken advantage of the fact that he can get away with this. So in my opinion, he was a Karen in this situation. Mm-hmm. But I can understand when it comes to your kid, you will go to bat, you will go to war with anybody. And I get that. But he took advantage of his position, and he is today's Black Karen.
That is actually very good. And I can understand that and agree with that, but that's two different things. Like, I'm putting the announcer in one bucket. Now we go to LeBron, and you said a great point that he's LeBron James. I had this talk with someone off stage that is on this set that he's been LeBron James for a long time. At one point, he was the best person at what he did in the world. And I'm sorry. Look, I'm just me. And I feel privileged in certain situations, and I want to be treated a certain way. Like I'm a little Devo. That's why I keep having problems in these relationships, because I want my backside kissed and want what I want. He's LeBron James. That's almost a billionaire. If you don't think he wakes up knowing that he's LeBron James and he can do things that other people can't do, that's crazy to think that. So it's not on him to enforce the rules on himself. What they could have done is, as you said, security. Security could have went over there immediately and put him in cuffs or did whatever. Because if it was some regular fan going up, look, that's just being real. They could have. But I'm saying it's not on LeBron to enforce things on himself. And if he don't like what the announcer said, he just don't like what the announcer said. Exactly. Like his son is famous because of him, and he does everything he can to promote his kids. So if your kids get called out when you putting them out there for the world to see, you have to accept some of that. And to me, the announcer didn't do anything wrong. And I'll just go back to LeBron. You have to tell me what rules they broke. Because if he broke rules, why didn't he put him in cuffs? They put Charles Oakley in cuffs.
You answered why he didn't put him in cuffs.
I don't know why.
Yeah, that was never.
They put Charles Oakley in cuffs and kicked Charles Oakley out.
Because they did what they were supposed to do.
They're not kicking Oakley out.
They hemmed Patrick Ewing up at the Garden when he was trying to go. I think that they asked the 7-foot dude, "Hey, who are you and why are you trying to come in through here?"
Yep.
Spike Lee got hemmed up. So the Garden ain't got no problem enforcing rules on people. Exactly. So if they didn't enforce the rules on LeBron James, it's not LeBron's fault. And this is the second time he's done this. And what I should say, this is the second time he's gotten caught doing this. He's LeBron James. And if I was him, everybody be lucky if I ain't walk with my thing out everywhere I went. Because what is somebody going to say to me? I'm LeBron. Like, whatever. I'd be like what Akeem in Coming to America when he comes out of the bathroom. Out of the thing, they say, the royal penis is clean, Your Highness. His nickname is literally King James. If you don't think you're going to have a problem with a guy like that, then you probably need to rethink what you're looking at.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's my whole thing.
That's fair. That's fair. But I don't agree that it's not his fault. What it is that it wasn't enforced. Now you have decisions that you make. Now he knew that what he did was not right to move the barrier and walk out there on the court.
And here we go again. What you telling me LeBron thinks.
Time out. Hold on a second, please.
Okay.
He did. You getting into who he is and what he thinks and all that. But at the end of the day, the decision he made was wrong. Now, did they handle it wrong? Yes. It was wrong all the way around. That's the point.
And I just think you're not, as they say, you're not putting yourself in LeBron James' shoes. You're putting yourself in Mr. 411 shoes, who has all these rules and everything, that when you go out and get a speeding ticket and they come up to the car, they look at you, they write you a ticket. When he gets a speeding ticket, they walk up, they're like, oh, what is that? Sugar honey iced tea. Yeah, you're LeBron James. Oh, hey, sir. My bad. I didn't realize it was you. Hey, if you could, can you just slow it down or whatever? This is a residential area. And he goes on about his business. This is his life. But so if we're going to go with what we think, this has been his life probably since he's been a freshman in high school. That, you got to be on this. Don't worry about it. We'll give you a, or we'll give you a makeup test. Don't worry about this. Don't worry about this. You're good. I call it the pretty thing. When you're pretty, as I said about Chris Paul, nobody wants to bring up his flaws because he's a pretty person, and pretty people always get exceptions. And LeBron James, whatever the exception rule would be here in this world, he probably gets the most exceptions. LeBron James is a woke person. He talks about rights and all of this other stuff. Yet they brought up the China and their freedom issue and everything, and the NBA playing over there. He didn't have any answers for that because he didn't know enough, and no one asked him any more difficult questions about that because they're afraid he won't speak to them anymore. And look, I can't be mad at the dude because I wish I could have life like that. So don't start saying that he believes the rules apply to him, because the rules that apply to him ain't the same rules that apply to us. He can literally walk to a restaurant. Go into a restaurant where they don't have any reservations available or any tables available. And he's like, hey, I'd like to get a table. And they get a table set up for him to get a table. He walks into the club. They set up VIP for him. Like whatever the exception is. And when I was in recruiting, they called it the presidential exception, meaning if you showed up at a hotel and are like, hey, we don't have any vacancies. Well, if I was the president of the United States, would you have a vacancy for me? Yes, sir, we would. Well, I want that room. That is LeBron James.
Absolutely. But that doesn't mean that the decision he made was right.
It's just privilege. It's okay.
We
Yes,
understand.
I'm not saying it was right.
We understand that privilege part. We get that.
Yes.
Yeah.
We all
I think
get
we
Yes.
said everything that needs to be said about this.
Yeah.
I
We
think-
get that. But let's make it clear that what he did was not right. Period. Next
I agree.
topic.
He's a Karen. Come on.
That's right.
Oh my
This is
God.
going to be a fun day today
You guys are fun.
Very fun.
because
Absolutely.
this is all about rules today.
Okay.
Yep. All right, guys. Let's get into the
You
next
already
one.
put it up. You might as well go and put it back up. There you go. We got the next rule.
It's up there.
We're going to talk about LeBron and Sha'Carri.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll just talk about LeBron the whole show. I can reference Sha'Carri to LeBron.
Just look at the bottom, please.
Okay. Sha'Carri.
Sha'Carri Richardson.
The Olympian.
There she is.
Want to be Olympian.
LeBron decided to move out the way for us. All right. Sha'Carri.
LeBron.
Let's talk about it. She qualified. She earned her way onto the Olympic team. And then she found her way off of the team. So we'll get into more detail on it in a moment here. You want to start this off, Lacey, or you want to go, Zach?
I don't mind starting it off. This young lady, she's fabulous and fantastic, but substance, they know what they're going to have to do. I can't go to work. I can't go smoke a couple of joints and go to work and have a urine test or whatever and expect to be okay. I hate it because she's amazing, but you got to do the right thing. If you're going to put all that commitment and time to like getting ready for it, that's just a part of what you have to do. I feel bad for her. She should have just went out and had something to drink, but it was what was in front of her. It was an emotional time for her. I feel bad for her, but until they make these, they need to change all of this stuff. The rules are not up to our standards of the way that we live now. So that's my take on it.
Interesting. We're about to get another interesting take on this one.
Oh, I'm sure about that.
All right, Zach.
Well, yes, I already knew you were teeing it up for me. We'll go story time. Mr. 411, you knew my dad, and you knew my father was in the military, retired from the military. He had a operation that he had to do. They went to what's called the National Training Center, and he went out there early. It's when he was a platoon sergeant, which is the E7, and he left this E6 in charge. And the E6 was supposed to get the platoon together and all of the equipment and everything for when they go out there to NTC, which is at Fort Ord, California. So the platoon would be ready to perform this training operation. Well, they get out there and the platoon sergeant, the acting platoon sergeant that my dad left to get everything together, didn't get everything together. And my dad said he talked to him and asked him why he didn't get everything together. And he said he didn't feel like it. And my dad said, good. I hope you feel like unemployment because I'm putting your ass out the Army. And my mom was all on my dad about don't put him out. He's got a family. You can't do this. He won't be able to do this. And my dad said, if he don't care about his damn family, why should I? So the point being, if Sha'Carri didn't care about her ass being in the Olympics, why should we? Lacey said it perfectly. She knew the rules. and she decided she was going to do what she was going to do because she thought she was LeBron James and she could get that exception. And she don't get the LeBron James exception. I'm going to try tie LeBron to everything today.
I like
only LeBron and a few others get that exception. So no, she going to get to stay home. These girls behind her get an opportunity. And I feel bad. No, I don't feel bad for Sha'Carri because she made a decision. But what I will say is this. I feel bad that she doesn't understand about opportunity in life. She thinks you get a multitude of opportunities. Dan Marino, his second season, had one of the greatest passing seasons in the NFL. And he went to the Super Bowl and lost to the 49ers. And he probably thought he was going to go back to 3 or 4 more Super Bowls and win a couple. He never went back. You cannot waste opportunities in life. I could talk about some of the opportunities I wasted on some of the pretty girls I wanted to talk to, but I was too afraid to go ask them for their number. And now they're gone. I don't know where they at or what they look like now, but opportunity wasted. And that's what she did, possibly. But definitely wasted this opportunity because you need as many cracks at it as you can. Go ahead, Mr. 411.
Come here, baby.
Yeah, with the Olympics being every 4 years, I mean, you have a limited opportunity to do what you do. And then you never know what's going to happen in between. Now she, again, we talked about it, but she did test positive for an illegal substance, marijuana, and that was the case before the Olympics started. So she knew going in, as well as others, they knew going in to that situation. So that's definitely on her. But with a 30-day suspension, she had an opportunity to be able to participate in the 4x100 relay. And the USA, Team USA, has decided not to include her on that team. So she's just going to have to just deal with the circumstances that she placed on herself. And it's unfortunate. And I know there's a lot of backlash behind it. But in this case, it's really hard to defend her because she knew the rule and then she broke it. And at the end of the day, that's what we want across the board, and it's life lessons. She has to learn from and move on. They do have a Let Sha'Carri Run campaign going, and there's like half a million signatures on that, but unfortunately that won't get her in the Olympics this year. But with that said,
it should not.
Correct. And with so much following there and for her and support, which we all support her. I mean, I want her to be a part of the Olympics. I wanted her to, but at the end of the day, that's the mistake that she made that she has to deal with. But
Not a mistake, a decision.
Both. Steven Jackson made comments, Zach. I need you to go ahead and delve into that for us.
Okay.
Sure. Let me find Steven Jackson. Steven Jackson is trying to make the show interesting today. Y'all are going to have to forgive me because I'm going to have to look over here and pull up his statements. But let's see. Steven Jackson, where are we at? Mr. Jackson said, why should we even be a part of the Olympics? Represent a country that don't love us. Jackson stated that reparations have been given to other groups, but not to black people. He also pointed to Congress stalling and not acting on an anti-lynching act, among other things that he said. So this is, we got more stuff from Steven, but this is what I believe in response to Sha'Carri not being allowed to run. And here we go again. We got a few people on here that may be rules people, and I'm a little too black and white. Mr. 411 loves to call me the Russian judge, but I'm just look, if you don't want me to do something, and here we go back to some of my relationship stuff, you better tell me what the rules are and what I ain't supposed to do and is supposed to do. Because if I go out to the club and you're like, well, you just come back whenever. Then if I show up at 5, 6 in the morning, I don't want you getting mad at me because you said show up whenever. I just went off of what you told me. If you want to be back by 1 a.m., you should have said be back by 1 a.m. Don't let me think for myself. And we're going to go with look, that's the truth. I tell people exactly what it is I want and don't want. And so it ain't no misunderstandings. And People have to work with me on that. They learn that if they spend enough time with me. But with Steven Jackson, he played 14 seasons in the NBA for the Nets, Pacers, Warriors, Bucks, Bobcats, Spurs, and Clippers. I say this because due to Sport Track, Steven Jackson made $65 million in career earnings. Now, I need to delve into his statement more because I don't know if he's saying the country of America doesn't love us or love him. Is he saying white men don't love him? I don't understand, because I'm gonna assume maybe he means the country of America and not white men, because it ain't too many blacks that own NBA teams, and he stayed in the NBA long enough to make $65 million. So if he was so disgruntled with how this country treated us and all of these things and what have you, then I'm not sure why he stuck around in the NBA to make $65 million. But here's the other great thing for Steven Jackson. Since he has made $65 million in career earnings, he has the freedom to leave the country and go choose where he wants to live. And many times when you see movies, people get their money. What do? They try to go to Costa Rica or someplace off the grid and just go kick their feet up and enjoy life. And yet he's still living in this place that is so terrible. Now, I will say, as a former veteran that has deployed to various places around the world, that I think if you get out there and you go see some things, you might understand that there's a whole bunch of places that don't love us like you think that they would love us, and things here, while they ain't perfect, kind of like when any family, it's better than it can be in other places. So I never understand those types of statements or whatever. I would just kind of add that with Steven Jackson, if he, as I said, he's an interesting character. I don't know where he's going with everything. I will also just say he does not have a college degree. Not to look, I just want you to kind of get an idea of the type of guy that is making a statement. So everybody is going to shake their pom-poms and agree with him. Just understand, if it was a doctor that didn't have a certification and your child needed a heart transplant or brain surgery, you wouldn't let them do it if they didn't have any type of certification. I don't really want to listen to Steven Jackson on maybe social justice issues until he shows me that he has some type of education where he's someone that I can follow. Like, he's not Dr. Martin Luther King. So I'm just going to take his comments for what they're worth. And your actions to me speak much louder than what your words do. And when you hang around in the NBA, especially during the time that he made it, Michael Jordan is the only black owner I know, and you take $65 million from them guys, that lets me know maybe you're more concerned about what you can get for yourself versus what everybody else can get. And I believe his show is on Showtime, and I'm not sure who is on Showtime. I tried to research, I couldn't find out, but I'm going to guess it's not black owned. It could be, but I'm going to guess that it's not. And even if it is black owned, there's got to be some Caucasian people somewhere up in there that he falls under, and they give him advice or tell him whatever. In fact, when we get to another story about Steven Jackson, there's a Caucasian person involved in this that he's defending. So I don't understand this young man at all. Maybe y'all do.
Well, the thing that I just didn't like to take from his comment was, that basically insinuating that we as blacks need to not support the Olympics based off of what happened with Ms. Richardson. Again, that was something that Ms. Richardson chose to do that broke the rules that was already in place, and I don't think that should lead to a march for us to not support the Olympics. There are other African Americans that are participating in the Olympics, and also people of color that's participating in the Olympics. And speaking of one, Gabby Thomas, she says, additionally, I worry some of the anger and disdain may be misplaced. The Olympics the Olympics and those at the IOC have nothing to do with the current events taking place. Um, things that happen, we need to continue to support the other Olympians that are participating and that did qualify based on the rules and regulations. Lacey, you.
Yes, sir. Well, I listened to what this young man had to say, and he seems to be doing one of those things that I won't say it's just black people that do it, but we do it a lot. Where everything is not a racial issue. Not everything is. This was not a racial issue. It doesn't call for a boycott. It wasn't about blacks being singled out. Everybody takes the same test, as far as I know, and if you don't pass that test, then this is the result. And she has admitted to the behavior, that resulted in the results that she got. So I don't understand why now he turned it into more of a racial thing. I would have understood better if he talked about the young lady. There was a young lady who turned her back on the flag or something. And you know what I mean? I mean, everybody has their own. Just because you're an American doesn't mean that you agree with everything America has to say or do. The Olympics is about the best athletes in the world. And you have to pass certain criteria, and just talent is not enough. You have to have opportunities, and you have to follow the rules. And so I look forward to the Olympics, just to see the talent out there. I think they're amazing. These people work really hard to get there. And I don't think boycotting them over some foolishness like this even makes any sense. That would help no one. Least of all the athletes that he's talking about. They need these appearances to help them have endorsements and things like that down the road. So you're taking away from their livelihood. And all you would do by boycotting is mean that a bunch of people who aren't the best would possibly get medals that should have been for these people. They work really hard all their lives. And I don't understand people like this. Boycotting is something you got to take really seriously, and you have to use it sparingly. So no boycott for me.
All right. Well stated. Okay, well, we're gonna tie into Steven Jackson, as Zach mentioned earlier, and he's tied into another subject that we have here. This is like our final subject for today. Buckle up your seatbelts for this one.
Who's that for? Don't tell me, because I don't know much about it, and I'm a little bit biased.
Buckle up. All right. Okay. Anticipation's over.
He was getting us ready. He was building the anticipation.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yep.
The pregnant pause?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. It's there now.
Dramatic pause for effect.
All right. So here's the question. What do you make of the Rachel Nichols and Maria Taylor beef?
Well, Mr. 411, since Miss Lacey says she doesn't know the background, do you have the background that you can give? And we probably need to give that in context anyway. If you don't, I can probably give a brief summary. But if you actually have the background, then that would be better. If not, it's cool. I can give a brief summary, kind of like I did in college. I know how to read the Cliff Notes. Wrote many papers using that.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So we got it, Mr. 411, or no?
Oh, we're waiting on you.
I know I put him on the spot. I'm sorry. Okay. I guess brief summary. Rachel Nichols is a longtime ESPN employee, longtime journalist. She's a Caucasian woman. And she does the jump on ESPN. It does basketball talk year round. And I believe starting last year, she wanted to work the NBA Finals, and she did not get to work the NBA Finals because Maria Taylor, University of Georgia graduate, got the position to be the broadcaster or whatever, announcer or whatever it would be for the ESPN Finals pregame show and during the game show or what have you. And what happened is on a call with a guy that is actually, I guess, a mentor or something with LeBron, some type of partner or something with LeBron James. She had a conversation and basically did the thing of left the microphone on, only she had the video on, and she left her video on, and it was like for an ESPN show, and she's talking to him, and she goes into detail about how she is not happy that they are pushing Maria Taylor to meet the Black Lives Matter or whatever, if you want to, or if you just want to make it easy, affirmative action type of hire or building diversity in the company, because ESPN had lacked in diversity for so long and it was coming at her expense. And she said some other things, and you do something like that, hot mic or whatever video, some ESPN employees got it, passed it around, and then it gets back to Maria Taylor, and all HE double hockey stick breaks loose, and Maria Taylor's upset. Other black individuals are upset at Rachel Nichols and everything, basically saying that that Maria Taylor got this just kind of not that she earned it, but just a diversity hire. So this is where we're at with that. And my first thing about it that I go with is I hate this private conversation thing. Like, it is. Yeah. These things are tough. Now, if you put it out on Twitter, if you put it out on Instagram or anything like that, then I'm good with that. But if I'm sitting at home and I'm talking to, and Mr. 411 and I are having a conversation, and look, I'm gonna just keep it real. I ain't here to be funny. And I'm talking about my female coworker, and she got some big breasts and a big backside, and I want to do this to her or do that to her or have her do this to me or what have you. That's Mr. 411 and I having this conversation, and we're just doing that. I haven't in any way disrespected this female, whoever she be, in her face or anything like that, or passing this around. I'm thinking this conversation is between us. And now it's video recorded or it's recorded, and it gets back. And I understand why an individual will be upset about that. But we need to be able to have some place in the world where we can talk and we can vent. And for me, as long as you do your job and you respect me while we're doing whatever we're supposed to do, I know everybody ain't gonna love me. I got family members that don't like me or love me like that. So I know people out in the world ain't gonna like me or love me. And it kind of like the not Carson Wentz, but Riley Cooper thing. What he did when he went to the concert and he said he'll fight all those ends. Yes, you put it out there for us to see. But had he said that behind closed doors, kind of like Sterling. I hate that Sterling, former owner of the Clippers, his girlfriend catches him on tape and she does all of that, because everybody vents. I'm sure we talk bad about our parents at times, family members at times, spouses. We talk bad about our kids. Look, I done talk bad about a lot of people. In fact, when we get done with this show, I'm going to probably go talk bad about Mr. 411. And if he hears some of the things I say about him, he like, damn, Zach really ain't my best friend. Because I talk bad about you, Mr. 411. I'm telling you right now. So if you hear it,
thank you, Zach.
You can ask
I'm
me
not
about
surprised.
it and I'll confirm. Yep. Look, I do. I talk bad about everybody. That's just what I do. But then it don't mean I don't love them. And so that's the part of this that's bad. But now, here's the other part of it. Rachel Nichols can feel how she want to feel. If she feels like she's had to try to fight through all of these men, be it Caucasian men and then black men, because they were getting pushed up in the sports world, and now she's finally in a position where she can make her move to get to a certain point, and now they're bringing other minorities, this tall sister girl from the University of Georgia, and now she's taking her spot. Look, she can feel like that. I felt at times that, hey, this guy's getting the opportunity that I didn't get. And I think we get this confused in life also. Like, everybody believes that we just have a right to certain stuff, and we don't. Like, hey, I'm bringing up a lot of my shortcomings today, but I have lost a girl to the other guy so many times, it's ridiculous. And I don't think that she should choose the other guy, but she did. for whatever reason, because he was taller, nicer car. Rachel Nichols lost. She couldn't. She didn't know how to handle losing well, and that is sad on her part because we have to understand that stuff happens. Now, Maria Taylor, on the other hand, she absolutely can be upset about what Rachel Nichols said about her. I always felt when I was in the military and, even the job now that I wanted to get to position because of my ability, not because of my skin color, because I didn't want anybody looking at me and thinking, well, the only reason he got that is because he's black, not because I know anything or anything like that. And maybe that shouldn't matter because if you got the position, you got the position. So I get how Maria Taylor doesn't want to be shortchanged. I know women in general a lot of times have to deal with, or at least at some point had to deal with, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Miss Lacey, but a lot of times a woman gets a position, say as a director or a VP or even a president, and the first thing men want to say is, who does she have to sleep with to get there? Instead of just, look, she's good at her job. She did what she's supposed to do. And now, lastly, with Rachel Nichols. Rachel Nichols probably has to be gone from ESPN because like once you let the cat out of the bag about who you are, it's hard for people. Like everybody's gonna give you the side eye. You can go try and be nice or whatever, but like once Tyrone hears that I talk about that he's a no good MF and dirty whatever, and I just hang around him because what I think he can do for me. I can come back and apologize like Rachel Nichols did the other day on the jump and, I don't want to be a distract. You just, as my wife told me, I ain't sorry. I'm just sorry I got caught. So she's just sorry that she got caught saying what she's saying. But when Rachel Nichols leaves because they passed this information around and they shouldn't have, she should get a really big severance package. But this is a total mess. And just so many layers in there. And I feel bad for all of the parties because if we don't record this private conversation and pass it around, no one knows our inner thoughts. And like I said, Mr. 411, I hope you don't get the video of me talking about you.
Oh, don't worry. I have ways of getting it. But speaking of those videos, this my understanding is that this was self-inflicted because it was her video. It was her camera. And and her camera, she thought it was off, but it was rolling. So, and it's funny how LeBron James is tied to that because that was his his advisor or one of his PR people that interviewed her.
Okay. Yeah.
So with that being the case, we have the king tied into that as well. But no, this is really it's really tough. Because it's kind of one of those things where like in the workplace or any type of environment, of any kind of workforce or team or anything, you have diversity. I mean, it is what it is. You're going to have those numbers. You're going to have that breakdown. And you are always going to have, whenever anybody's trying to climb to get to the top or get to a certain point, and it's only one spot or it's limited spots and more people than spots are trying to get there, you're going to have this type of thing. I mean, if I was Maria, if I was any of them, I wouldn't have been surprised that was said. So, I mean, just like you said earlier, Maria may have got positions because of her background. There got to be other athletes that may have felt like they should be where Maria Taylor is right now.
Yeah,
same thing for Jalen Rose. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times tall people get
She's a tall, good-looking, intelligent woman.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's the ones that actually played in the sport, and they get since we're talking in this ESPN world, a lot of times the athletes get the position over somebody who might have been scratching and clawing that never even played, for a team. So it's just all kind of different factors, but it's unfortunate. Again, make sure your cameras are off, when you're saying things, and make sure you vent to very few people, and just kind of make sure you close all your holes, man. Make sure everything's sealed up. What say you, Lacey?
I'm sorry. You said close all your what? I couldn't hear that last part.
I was reading about this and listening to you guys, and when I look at what Rachel Nichols actually said, I don't
Yeah.
think she said anything wrong. I really do not. And I'm saying
Okay.
that from a woman's perspective. Rachel Nichols,
Okay.
ESPN and places like that, these are boys clubs, and you know that going in. And so I agree that, her career, she's had to kind of fight to get to where she is. However, uh, the problem that I have with the situation is like it's the part kind of the women turning on the women. It's like, okay, the other lady may be getting something, but and the white privilege is real here because Rachel Nichols is talking about her struggle. I can't even imagine what those other ladies, Maria, what her struggle has been because she has to fight with the same stereotypes and problems that Rachel Nichols has to, and on top of that, she's black. That's gonna make her journey more difficult. And the idea that we put, that in order for Maria to do better, Rachel has to do worse. That is a problem. That is exactly what they should be
True.
mad about. They shouldn't be mad at each other. They should be mad at the
Right.
people who set up a system where they have to vie for the crumbs that are left after, like what you should be saying is, why isn't there a woman's why aren't there more women's talk shows that have to do with sports and things like that? Maybe get us all on a panel together. You never see that, but they're instead they're acting like, I think I told you the analogy before. I heard this on Twitter and I thought it was like so apt. It said there's a white guy, a black guy, and a wealthy guy, and they're all in the same room. I think you've heard this one. And there's 100 donuts. The wealthy guy takes 99 donuts, and then he tells the white guy, "Hey, that black guy's trying to take your donut." You know what I mean? It's the same kind of thing.
Okay.
Like, that's funny. I heard it on Twitter. I didn't make it up, but I love it. It's like, yeah, it's like, okay, you two are fighting over crumbs,
boy.
and I got all of this over here. You're not even trying to get any of this. It's crazy. That's this country. That's the kind of the mentality, and we have to get away from that mentality. I think that Rachel had a good point. Maria Taylor certainly didn't get anything that she didn't deserve. However, it shouldn't have to come at the expense of Rachel Nichols, but Rachel Nichols also has to acknowledge white privilege and understand that everything is not always going to be fair and that it has to start with somebody. But what they should be mad about is like, why not take something from one of these guys? Why are you taking the few women here? There should be enough to go around for us. So I feel like that, I understand why like there's a big conversation about this. I just think they're having the wrong conversation. And I hate to see women pitted against each other in this way. I'm sure that they are all very much deserving of their positions and they have put up with a lot of downright BS to get there. So that's my take on it.
All right.
And I would agree with you, Lacey. Like Rachel Nichols has been in the game a long time and she has put in her work. And I'd say about Maria Taylor. Now, Maria Taylor did fast track. Maria Taylor, I like her and she is very good at the job, but like she fast tracked. She went from SEC Network, I want to say, to doing the ESPN and getting the big gig, and good for her. It does seem like if this situation doesn't get resolved, because Maria Taylor's contract is coming up like within the next 2-3 weeks, that she may leave the network. I hope she doesn't. But as I kind of said earlier, one of them probably has to go. Is there, like Maria Taylor isn't really given much of an option. It's one or the other.
And I would like to point out that part of the problem is like when they're, Rachel Nichols is talking about the diversity thing. She says, if you want to give her more things because you're feeling pressure about your crappy long time record on diversity, which by the way, I know personally from the female side of it, like go for it. He said, just find it someplace else. You're not going to find it from me or taking my thing away. And that was the white privilege part right there. It's like, okay, it's going to come at somebody's expense,
Hey, I think this was great with Rachel. Oh, I was just going to say, I'm glad Rachel, she got it all off her chest. She shot all barrels in she ain't leave nothing out there. She talked about Maria. She talked about ESPN. She talked about diversity. She said, this is what it is. You ain't taking mine.
No, I can't blame her for that. She didn't say anything wrong.
I cannot. I just look. I don't ever blame somebody for stealing. I blame them for getting caught. Like,
I didn't think she said anything
so
wrong.
I don't
but
blame
feel
her.
like
She just got caught.
It's an issue that needs to be discussed, but it would have been better if she would have said it up front. Maybe, I don't know.
Yes, in a, as they used to tell me in the Army, in a professional, tactful way. She didn't do it in that. She did it in an angry, if you were to go privilege or whatever way, and then now, like I said, she can't fix this because if I'm Maria Taylor, she walked up to me and she apologized and so on air, I would slap the sugar honey iced tea out of her.
Really?
Oh yeah.
You know,
if she came to me and apologize, I'm lighting fire to her.
I mean, she said what she wanted to say last year in the bubble.
As a black person, when you're at let's
Yes,
say you've been at your job for a long time, and then this kind of situation happens to you where they have somebody, let's say somebody that's trans, you know, they're coming in and they want to like make themselves look better. They want to add some diversity, and so they're gonna like put, you know, take away your promotion and give it to the trans person. You're gonna be like, it's not that I'm mad at the trans person. It's like I'm mad at the, you know, at the higher ups who are doing this so just really just terribly, you know.
Well,
just heavy-handed.
If we're gonna be, well, I would say we're gonna be real.
Yeah.
Quite often, I have seen where it's not necessarily hasn't necessarily been about what the individual knows knowledge wise, but as my grandfather said, not what you know, but who you know.
Oh yeah.
And a big difference between Rachel and me, and I know you're trying to end this, Mr. 411. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to tell the producers to hold on for a second. But I grew up being told by my family, and you may have also, that I needed to be 10 times better than a white man to get the same things that they were gonna get. And you know, they probably meant kind of in this situation that I'm going to have to work harder if I want to get the break and take advantage of this opportunity. And Rachel Nichols, I'm not sure if she got those lessons. And then now when this reality crashes in on her, where you had to fight through the boys club, as you were saying, and then you get caught up, there is a diversity movement to kind of balance things out, and you're stuck in the middle. She wasn't prepared for that. So I don't necessarily get mad about stuff like that. I understand how the business world works, and I'm old enough to get it. And as I said, my upbringing is definitely different than Rachel Nichols. So I think I can say all three of us on the panel maybe got taught lessons in life that we understood. Hey, life isn't necessarily going to be fair, but you just have to roll with the punches.
Oh, hey, and guys, don't worry about the time. Zach, I put it on your tab to cover the extended minutes, so we're good to go. Especially with the deep pockets that you have. So we are into overtime, but this is such a
not deep at all, folks. It all goes to child support. Don't listen to him and alimony. But but I am enjoying listening to Miss Lacey give her points of views.
I enjoy spending time with you guys. You are really the best. And I would like to say one last thing on the subject. This is the last thing, because I'm looking at what this guy said. The one that she was talking about, I think his name is Adam Mendelson. And he said to Rachel, after all of this conversation that they had, he said, I don't know. I'm exhausted. Between Me Too and Black Lives Matter, I got nothing left.
Yes. That's why I said they pulled the curtain back because they thought it was a private conversation. And like as I said, I want people to own stuff. Like and I know I'm going off base, Mr. 411, but I got called the N-word quite a bit by Caucasian guys growing up, and we were getting the fights. But the one thing I can say is those individuals that did that, I respected them because they weren't standing behind, the curtains or whatever in the back, and they were just whispering it or whatever and making me think they loved me or we were cool. They were happy to say it to my face and then happy to say, what you gonna do about it? And I can respect that. Like I think we get sometimes that it's okay to disagree and not get along. And with Rachel Nichols, if this is how she has kind of really felt, then I'm not saying you have to go wear it on your chest, but don't be all smiling up in people's face like you love them. And the same thing with, I think you said Mendelson. whatever. Don't be smiling in everybody's face and make you think you they friend and you all for them and you want to have this, and then really you like, I can't stand that MF. They get all of this and they get all of that. I had dudes like that. You may know or not know. This is why I don't get involved with guys sometimes. Like, men, don't have your buddies over at the house with your lady, because just as soon as you turn your back, they trying to stick her in her back. And you got guys hating on you like, why he got this woman? Why he got that? Why he got whatever? And this is what we do as people. And I'd rather individuals be honest. That's why, Mr. 411, at some point, I'm going to let you see the video so I can be honest with you about all this stuff I feel about you.
Well, I appreciate that, Zach. I really appreciate that.
Oh my goodness.
But hey, you guys touched on a couple things though. But let's be realistic about this too. With a lot of things that happened over the last year, there's been a lot of movement, and I know we've had conversations as African Americans, as blacks, that a lot of things have been occurring that was like, wow, this could have been going on years and years and years ago. For example, we'll keep it in the sports realm. The Washington football team. I remember back in almost in the 90s when the Native Americans had issues with their team name, the formerly known as the Redskins, and then we have the unfortunate things that happened, like with George Floyd and then the Black Lives Matters movement, and then all of a sudden we have a Washington football team. Things happen just like that. So. I think that we shouldn't be surprised that there are pockets of people that will have the type of things to say like Rachel Nichols did.
Okay.
Well, of course, but we need to understand as a society, we are getting, from my standpoint, we have been, America, the country, we have been really dumb as a country when you just think about stuff. Because what is it? You got to start going back to the 40s, 50s, 60s, or whatever, where we just start giving rights to minorities. It's like, it's ridiculous. Why did we as a society just think that, it doesn't make sense to let this group of people vote or what have you? Or even back, if you want to go with when segregation or what have you, we don't want you spending your money in here. Like, why as a business owner would you not want money is greed. Who cares who is giving you the money? In the 80s, when it was like, oh, women are too sensitive to be in charge. If you're a minority, you're too dumb to be like, all of these things probably were holding businesses back because you didn't have the best people in position to help your business grow. And now that we're getting to the point where we just want the best people. We don't care if they're aliens from another solar system. We just want the best people to help us do what we're doing. And I'm glad that we are progressing this way as a country. It's going to be painful. Like when Bill Cosby goes to jail for some things that he did way, way, way back in the day, and people probably think that he shouldn't. But this is what happens when we're trying to speed up the process or getting us to the point that we should. And like I said, it's good. I'm glad we're moving forward.
All right. Now, we'll look at the ticker down below.
Somehow move forward to put a couple more zeros in my bank account.
I'll take some of that.
We'll get a GoFundMe out there for you, Zach. Right. But look at the ticker below.
I won't turn it down.
All right.
Yes.
Like, subscribe.
I'm already subscribed.
We are on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Zach, use that swag. Tell them what the name of our show is.
Here we go with this swaggy. I don't understand this terminology, swag. Why can't I just say it the way that I would say it? I find that offensive. Did you say swag because I'm black? I don't understand.
You found swag.
If I was Caucasian, would you have told me to say it with swag?
No.
And then Lacey, why did he choose me? Why did he ask you? Did he ask me because I'm a guy and he overlooked you because you're a female? I mean, Mr. 411, what are you doing?
Wow, man. I asked you because
Yeah, dude,
we've done tons of these shows, and that was your cue to show some swag.
Oh,
But
and let me do one thing because I missed this. Steven Jackson, back when we were talking about Steven Jackson, he thinks LeBron James is the best player in the world. So
Okay.
now I connected it back to Steven Jackson on every segment.
well, way to ruin the show, Zach.
Thank you.
Way to ruin.
That's what I'm here
But-
for. I got to keep you on your P's and Q's.
Yeah.
Well, there's our name right there. All right. Find us on Twitter. Find us on YouTube. Find us on Instagram. And I'm gonna try this. Zach. I'm gonna try to use a little swag here. Find us on the Sportz Brothas podcast.
And today it was the Sports Brothers and Sister podcast.
There you go.
So maybe we need to,
All right.
hey, whenever Miss Lacey is on, we need to have a little thing where we can squiggle on there and sister.
Yes. I hear you there, Zach. You had a little swag there with sister. All right.
It's always a pleasure.
Lacey, give it a try, Lacey, please. Give it a try.
What's that?
The Sports Brothers.
That's really not my thing. This is
Thank
your
you,
show.
Lacey. I don't know what's wrong with him.
He doesn't. Stop it. Sorry. I've got it out of control.
Oh my God! Look, it's so many things we can say in this situation, Lacey. But you know what?
Yeah.
The show is over, and I don't even want to delve into it now.
Let's keep
Oh my
everything.
God.
Let's keep everything above. Keep everything
No, it's
above.
Yeah. Hey,
It's
look.
my dog. It's my.
Just gonna say, I was gonna say, hey, I can see why your marriage is so successful. Because Lord Jesus, I wouldn't divorce someone like that either. Like, if he's been there for the whole show, keep him. Don't ever let him go.
No.
Oh, wow.
Oh, y'all are so wrong.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well,
No.
on that note,
My
on that note, thank you all. We
That's
thank
not
you all
bad.
for listening. Lacey, we thank you for being on.
Yes, Lacey. Thank you.
We thank you for being on.
Thank you.
Zach,
Oh my.
job well done. And look, ladies and gentlemen, tune in for Thursday morning. Check out the Sports Brothers. The Sports
Oh my God.
Brothers, 7 a.m.
5 a.m. Mountain Time. I'm already got to go to sleep for that.
Okay.
And
right.
thank you, Mr. 411. I hope you don't take anything personal. It's just business.
Always, man. Always, man. All right. Have a good one.
All right.
Fans, we'll
Take
see you.
care.
Ciao.